If you've ever felt stuck in your career, like you're not good enough, or you're not enough, or you don't deserve success, then this could be the episode for you. This is the Working Audio Tools podcast with myself, Ed Thorne, and Paul Third. We are mix engineers and mastering engineers, and we discuss everything to do with mixing and mastering and forging a career in this difficult industry, in this exciting time of AI and YouTube and everything that comes along with making music as a professional. Paul, what's got you thinking about this week? This seems to be a subject particularly close to your heart, and it's definitely something we discuss at length off air.
Yeah, I think I was going to do it on my own channel, and I've been going on and off whether I should do it. And I was going to make it today after this podcast, and I just thought, no, what? There's a reason why I keep on, talking myself out of making the video. And so I thought, no, what? Let's just do it today, because as everybody knows, I am on a therapy journey, and I've been on antidepressants for it's around 3 months now. And, there's peaks and troughs, and, things have been getting better. And, with every, month of therapy, you learn more about yourself. And over time, you start feeling better about yourself. Again, everybody's got their own journey, but I'm starting to get into a pretty good place. I'm understanding my demons, where they come from, and, the reasons why they're there, and being able to be compassionate, towards them. And at the end of the day, right, I do have this kind of feeling in my gut that wants to make this piece of content, but I think doing it with Ed's the best way, because I think sometimes it could be very easy to push just your own narrative, just your own story, and just be very one-sided. So it's very good to get two people's perceptions on it. So for me, Ed, and again, I'll get your opinion on this as well. I have been in a place for a long time, decades, where nothing's ever good enough. When I first started out in audio, it was great. I was in audio college, and I learned loads and loads and loads, and I was a student, and I was able to accept that. And then 2 years in uni kicked in. So I was in audio education for 4 years, and then I got the degree, and then all of a sudden I was like, yeah, that's it. Yeah, I could be an audio engineer. And then obviously I had, I got married, had my first daughter. Genuinely, Madison was 2 months old when I got my degree. So that was degree was out the fucking window, and I had to, go out and get a big boy job. And, over, the years I've tried to get back into it, but there was always a niggling thing at the back of my head where, I was always something telling me, Paul, you're not good enough yet. Anytime I'd get better, it was, yeah, but you could be better. You're not where you need to be yet. Yet and but were the two words that were always, floating around. And, I really nailed that mix there, but I really nailed that mix. I really did a great job on that session, but it's not the right, it's not a big enough artist, it's not a big enough project. I would look for things to critique. So I always kind of taught myself that there's always a bigger pedestal to look up to. There's always something, like I talked a wee while ago about, seeing your career like a skyscraper. If you're always looking, to build more levels, and you're always looking up the top, you'll just end up in this place where when you have what you think you want and need, you're going to be at a point where you've spent so long telling yourself that what you do isn't good enough and you could do better, that you'll just live your life that way, and it'll get to a point where, you'll end your days on this earth feeling unfulfilled, when other people would look back at your career and be like, oh man, I'd give my left fucking testicle to have some of the experience that you had, man. I'd love to be in your position. And it's taken a long time for me to finally sit with myself in this studio, in my new house that we're currently doing up. I'm knackered. I was telling Ed before we got on this podcast, I'm feeling very flat today. Really, really flat. It's been the first day in a while where I've just not really humorous. I'm just not really myself today. And it's okay. It's like I would be really hard on myself other days where I'd be like, yeah, I've got to be up and ready for the podcast. You know what I mean? I've got to be Paul Third. I've got to be this big guy. And I'm like, no, I don't. It's fine. I'm a human being. And sometimes seeing yourself just as a human being and not as this person that has to be like a fucking superhero and has to have all these Grammys and have to have all these millions and billions of streams and has to own fucking millions of pounds worth of equipment and has to have all this respect and has to be in this magazine and has to be on Sound and Sound and, you know, has to be on a panel at fucking Mix of the Masters and, you know, all of these things that, you know, I, like, for years have looked up to and went, it'd be fucking great if I get this. Oh my God, I feel fulfilled. I would have made it. I know that tons of people who are so unbelievably successful, some of them are depressed. Some of them are unfulfilled. Some of them are just like, yeah, Paul, you win a Grammy and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, cool. What now? Another Grammy? And then honestly, I've spoke to people who know people who have won like artists who have won multiple Grammys, and it's just like a thing where the industry and, you know, music can be in such a place where they just constantly want to get the most out of you. See, like, you're like artists like a lemon. They just squeeze as much juice out of it till they're ready to go, right, okay, that's that done now. And they just chuck you in the fucking bin and that's your career over. And it's really, really, really difficult when you know that you see yourself in that way. And I've felt like that way about myself for a very long time where, you know, I'm this lemon that I'm just trying to squeeze as much juice out of, and just like thinking that I'm like, yeah, there'll always be juice there to squeeze. There's always a little bit more juice to squeeze. Well, know what? Why fucking squeeze the lemon, man? Just be happy with the fucking juice that you've got and just fucking crack on with it. Because all you're doing is you're just stressing yourself out to meet these fucking goals that nobody else has put in front of you. That's something that really was a big thing for me when I got in therapy, where, you know, both of them sat down to me and they were like, Paul, the only person that's putting this pressure on you is yourself. The only person that is actually bullying you into telling yourself that you're not enough and you're not good enough is you. And see, when you have that realization that you are your biggest enemy, but also your biggest supporter, it can be your biggest and greatest supporter, it really does shift the change where all of a sudden when you start accepting that, yeah, I am good at this, and yeah, I have came so far from where I was. Yes, it's not as far as what other people have done, but it's a journey, and everybody else's journey is different. And yeah, I've been waffling for a little bit, Ed, right? Let's just take, you know what I'm like, I go on a fucking tangent, but how do you feel about what I said there? What's your experience, your perception on what I've talked about there?
Well, I've sat here listening very intently because you were very beautifully articulating a lot of things that resonate with me, and I could feel myself getting quite sensitive because these are issues I've spent a lot of time trying to deal with. And, you know, the rate at which you've spotted all this with your therapy journey, as I've said, is remarkable. And credit to you for putting the work in. There's a lot to unpack there. As someone who has come at this subject having done similar work, albeit on my own path, there's no comparison, it is something I feel would still plague me. It would be a deep sense of unhappiness and unfulfillment, and it would still plague me. And crucially, I would be oblivious to it if I hadn't gone in for therapy. And it's only been, I mean, I've done it'd be nearly 3.5, no, about 3 years, a bit over 3 years now. And it's taken a long time to find peace. And a lot of that has been tackling insecurities, a deep sense of inadequacy, a crippling habit, an unbelievably good ability to compare and self-criticize and self-sabotage. And 5 years ago, if you'd have said all of this, I'd have been like, what the fuck are you talking about? I wouldn't have understood it. The best thing I've done for myself, and as you're realizing, I think maybe you're doing for yourself as well, is analyzing yourself in therapy and learning and understanding yourself. That's the only way. It's the only way you can gain an awareness of all this. Self-help books, YouTube videos, you know, inspirational Instagram channels, etc. They might help you scratch the top 10% if you do the work to make all the notes and do all the things they suggest. But you're still only going to be able to work within the limited parameters of your awareness. You need somebody else to help chisel down into that rock and learn about yourself. And when you do that, the other side of it, as I think you're seeing the light of, and I'm still working on, but I definitely feel more to the other side of this than I was 5 years ago, is a beautiful place of peace and contentment. And a lot of that is finding joy in the little things. As we've mentioned, comparison is the thief of joy. Comparison will give you something to criticize yourself about. It will tell you you're not good enough. Again, it will tell you you're not there yet. It will tell you you need X plugin or X speakers or whatever it is, insert something, in this placeholder. It will tell you that you need all these things and you need to do these things and you need to be more. And it's so fucking toxic when actually, if you can get to a place where you think, do you know what? I'm enough. Cool. I think it's healthy to have an eye on a prize in terms of, all right, well, if we want to be successful because we're conscientious and driven and we care about what we do, we aspire to being the best. I think it's good to have a benchmark, but it does get unhealthy when you look at social media and you look at YouTube and, everyone at a trade show is telling everyone else how busy they are and they're projecting what is possibly an unrealistic version of their own reality. It might be realistic, great if it is. It might not be. But when you're saturated by other people seemingly further on than you, more advanced, more successful, with better contacts, with better gigs, better jobs, whatever, it's too easy to fall into that trap of being distracted by it and having that erode your confidence and self-worth. And I would still be crippled by this. I mean, I am to an extent a little bit. It's definitely a big weight I think I'll constantly be trying to shed. You can't undo 35 years worth of, preconditioning and programming in an hour-a-week session for 5 years. It doesn't work like that. But it helps. And, once you see the other side and you start seeing the light and accepting yourself, you can start to see the glimmers of hope and think, do you know what? I'm a better mix engineer than I was yesterday because I did that mix and I learned X, Y, and Z. That's all that fucking matters. Compete with yourself, nobody else. And just, if you care about this job, strive to be as good as you can. And eventually, you'll be as good as you can be, and you'll keep getting better. I don't know a high-end musician or mixing engineer in the world who are staying still. Now, part of this will be what we're discussing. It's this, inability to be content with what we have. But a lot of it is we just care and we love what we do. Humans wouldn't be going back to the moon if we didn't give a shit about exploring stuff or getting better as a species or advancing technology. We wouldn't, cure viruses and be able to fix some cancers if we didn't care. We do care, and that's what makes us human and beautiful. So, how can we, on a daily basis, Paul, how can we tackle these issues? And social media is ringing in for me. That's such a big one for me.
In regards to how I've done it, because again, I'm not like a fucking self-help guru. I can only kind of share my own experiences. A big part of my journey has been therapy, as Ed said, and kind of keywords has been really, really, really big for me. And, a big word is fear. And it's only until somebody puts that to you and they say, right, okay, this happened. And so anger's a very, very, very big emotion with me. Again, I'm not going to go into like totally personal stuff, but I suffer with a lot of anger, and many people will maybe find that quite, wouldn't think Paul was this really like angry person. But I'm more angry within myself, and I'm my own worst fucking critic. And I've said it before on this podcast that, trolls don't bother me as much as they'd like to because I am already my worst troll. And I can
relate.
Yeah, and it's been able to sit with that and understand what it is. One of the biggest like key learning points from my therapist was, she said to me, Paul, see, instead of just allowing the feeling to just happen and be an impulse, be curious about it. So you've got like fear and curiosity. That's another buzzword for me. So one of these, so I'll give you an example. I can share this, right? So me and my wife were fitting laminate flooring in my eldest's room. We did the youngest ones first. It was fine. Yeah, we did it. Great. Yep, happy days. So we started off with the most difficult cuts. And it got to a point where my wife was kind of making a few mistakes on the measurement side. And these were really long cuts, and I had to do them all manually. And I was shattered. See, after the third time I had to do it, I was like, I thought you were good at this. Like, I thought you were good at this. Like, why? How did you manage to make that mistake? Like, how did you manage to do all the hard stuff? But that's the easy thing that you made the mistake with. How could you fucking do the hard stuff and not do the easy stuff? I'm fucking shattered. Like, what the fuck? Like, come on. Like, we can't keep going on like this. And that's why I love my wife, is that my wife doesn't take shit. And she immediately was like, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? And it then turned into a bit of an argument. And the old Paul would have sat there and kept it going, and I would have been bitter, and I would have been like, no, you are fucking up, and you're causing me pain and stress because I'm fucking tired, and we've got to fit the rest of this floor. I've got all loads of other cuts to do as well. Like, what the fuck? Like just do your fucking job right. And I was sitting there going, right, okay, this is a bit of a shit show. Be curious about it. Are you angry at your wife right now? I was like, no, I'm not angry at my wife right now. I'm angry at the situation. Right, okay, so you're angry at the situation. Why are you angry at the situation? And I just sat with myself and took 2 minutes. That's all I needed. Instead of fucking being up to here like what I always would be, I sat with it. I was like, what could it be? What could it be? Right, mistakes, right? What happens when I make a mistake? I am fucking brutal with myself because I had a bit of an upbringing where, you were taught not to make mistakes, and, mistakes had consequences. And, that was something that I had to sit with and go, wow, I couldn't be compassionate with my wife making a mistake because I can't be compassionate with myself when I make a mistake. And having that foresight of going, right, okay, it's not my wife or the situation that's triggered me. I've triggered me. And knowing that you have triggered yourself is the key to getting better at this, dealing with this critical kind of core thing. And, I remember spoke to my therapist about it, and there was something else that happened, and I was like, I was so angry with myself because it showed up again. And I'm trying to, be positive with myself and tell myself that I am enough, but it fucking showed up again. This is the third one.
It'll keep showing up.
Yeah.
That's the reality, and that's the bad news. It'll keep going.
Yeah. And the third buzzword is compassion. And when you learn to be compassionate towards the worst parts of yourself, things actually do get better. And what were the 3 words I used there? I used fear, curiosity, and compassion. Okay? Fear is where mostly everything comes from. That's what I'm learning about myself. It might be different, but if we take, the trolls online, we take all the audio arguments that happen all the time about plugins, about gear, about fucking knowledge, about this, that, and the next thing. This is as soon as I learned this, it changed my mindset. And it was just somebody saying to me, my therapist, going, see, instead, Paul, of you saying, they are the problem, that they triggered me, they made something, they did something, they said something, and it triggered me, and they're the fucking problem. See, having somebody say to you, what about if you flipped that, and you were to say to yourself, that's not a them problem, that's a me problem. And when you start thinking that's a me problem, and you have to then battle against yourself and have a conversation, with that critical part of yourself, things change. And this is something that we're not going to say who told us about this because that's their own personal journey. But one of them, an engineer we know, was talking about their therapy journey, and they were talking, I can't remember, you know the book, Ed, you've read it, and it was about the chimp paradox, and they were talking about, where they had a name for that critical, shame-based view of themselves, and he's like, that's my chimp. And he's like, yeah, so see when it comes up, and the chimp's like fucking, and it's just overwhelming you, and it's like, oh, I can't concentrate. Flip it back. Instead of flipping it back on the person that's causing the chimp to go fucking mental, go back to the chimp and say, right, okay, what's the answer? What's the solution? And he's like, see, when you put the question back to the chimp, it's never got an answer or solution, because it's only got one role, and that role is to tell you, you're not good enough. You're not good enough. You're not good enough. That's all it'll keep on saying. Right, but what are we going to do about it? What do I do about this not fucking... What are you going to do, right, to make sure that we don't feel bad about ourselves? There's no answer. And see, when you have that form of being curious about your own insecurities and putting the mirror back on you, it's amazing how much you see things very, very, very differently. And I think that's something that people could start experimenting with, is trying to not get triggered as much. Or if you do get triggered by something online, instead of your first impulse being like a reflexive responsiveness, where you just instantly just go, you fucking this and that, and you idiot, and blah, 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 blah. Just sit back and think, and Ed's talked about this in a previous episode, be curious about it and say, right, it's not a them problem, it's a me problem. What is it about what they've done or said that is making me feel so fucking angry to the point I need to kind of fucking hit this person down like it's whack-a-mole and they won't come up again? Why am I so angry? And I guarantee you, if you fucking are curious enough and you go deep enough into yourself, you'll realise that there is some form of shame or fucking critical core in you that is almost screaming at you to say, they've said that this piece of gear is shit and I own this piece of gear and I really like it, and if they say it's shit, then that means I'm not good enough. And it's like, honestly, see, this is, my therapist said shame is the fucking worst thing, because it basically stains everything it comes into contact with. So you imagine it's like, she calls it a critical core, and imagine it comes through your brain and your feelings wash through your body. Now imagine everything that comes through this brain washes through this core. Everything gets fucking tainted. Everything gets stained. Even when you're like, holy shit, how amazing was that? For example, like, I had 4 masters. Did 4 masters in a day last week. It's the first time I've done 4 masters in a day. The old Paul would have been like, yeah, and so fucking what? You're not getting 4 masters every day, are you? What have you got on tomorrow? You got fuck all on tomorrow. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Where what I did was I was like, fuck that. I got paid, and that fucking money is then going on to pay for someone for the house. And I'm like, how fucking great is that? I was able to sit down as amongst doing all the fucking shit that I'm doing for the house. I'm knackered. My body is aching every day, but I was still able to sit there and go bang, 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 bang. 2 of them were V1s, and one of them was 1 revision, and then I nailed the revision, and the other one was they just wanted a version, an alternate version that was just had a little bit more dynamics in it, so I backed off the limiter a little bit, and that was it. And it was all done that day and paid, and I was like, fuck yeah, that feels good. Man, remember the fucking days where like we didn't have anybody chapping on the door? Remember the days when I was like, oh my god, like, what should I charge? Like, I'm not good enough to get... Like, what happens if like somebody pays me and it's like, and I don't do a good enough job, and they're going to be like, oh my god, they're going to tell everybody that I'm shit and blah blah blah. And I'm just like, yeah, that was easy, Paul. How easy was that? How fucking great was that? And then I came into the studio and I had to pick something up, and I was like looking around the studio going, oh man, what a fucking life I've got, man. Look at this studio. See, if I was in London, nobody's able to afford this in London unless they're a massive, massive engineer. I'm looking in this control room and I'm like, that mod con, that's $5,000 speakers, all fucking like probably, I don't know, it goes up and down, but at one point I had 17 grand's worth of headphones. You know what I mean? I've got a Dolby Atmos room, I've got a fucking live room with a drum kit and its own separate fucking interface recording setup. I've got heads in the live room. I've got a big massive fucking space. I'm 2 minutes away from my house. I'm 2 minutes away from the kids' school. Like, I now live in a house where I like have arguably the best view in the whole fucking village. And it's like this, I'm now in a house where I could be financially stable enough to get my family a bigger house. And we've got space now. And everybody's excited. Everybody's walking into my house going, wow, this is like a bit of a building site, but shit, when this is done, what a house you're going to have. And I sit here and I'm like, how fucking successful am I, man? I have fucking made it. And even there, it's like I get a little bit emotional saying that, because it's taken so long for me to be able to sit there and go, holy shit, look what we fucking done. We are respected for what we do. Like that lonely fucking boy who was crippled with loneliness, autistic. It's like, and now has a Discord with over fucking 400 and odd paid members. You know what I mean? I got to go to NAM and sit there and be in a house with fucking, like engineers that I admire and I respect and be treated as an equal. I get to wake up every day knowing that, I am, when I say a somebody, it's that I am somebody that's fucking valued. You know what I mean? And I'm worth it. And I look at my wife and go, what a beautiful fucking looking woman. I look at my kids and go, wow, how fucking well-mannered are they? How beautiful are they? And I'm like, what a fucking life I have. And I what I used to do is used to split myself into little categories where I'd be like, that was the top styles Paul and the carpet right Paul and the uni Paul. And, I used to do this so I couldn't ever accept the good things that I'd done. So if I split it, that was that Paul, that was that Paul, that was that Paul. So I was almost giving myself a new challenge. And see, when you sit back and you look at your journey and you realise that, holy shit, all of that, what we've done, I did that. All of a sudden, it gives you this confidence where a new plugin comes out and you're like, I don't give a shit. Oh, but this 1176 is maybe slightly better. I give a shit. Like that Paul Third that was doing all the analog versus plugin comparisons and, fucking all these different plugin comparisons and squeezing out like, oh, can you hear this Paul Third's golden ears? Yeah, I could pick out in a blind test. Yeah, I could fucking hear it. But does this man sitting here today give a shit about it? No, because I'm not insecure. You give me a session, I'll do it with stock plugins, and I'll do it the best that I can with the limits that I have in front of me. That is the key to it, is that, yeah, it's difficult when you start out. You've fucking, look, I've been there. I've been on the fucking breadline. You know what I mean? I was 25, married, out of uni, with a newborn fucking baby. We were on the fucking breadline. And we were, like, again, I could have went to my mum and dad for help, but we wanted to do it ourselves. So, and I know what it's like to have a passion and want to do this. I mean, I left uni genuinely, like, with my whole career basically fucking down the pan, which is what I thought. And, I look at where I am now. The fact that my kids are fucking, 11 and 7. And, fuck me, man, 11 years and look what I've achieved. And yeah, it's taken a long time. But it's okay. It takes as long as it's going to take. That's what I think many people don't understand that are new to this game, is that it takes the time it takes. It took me fucking 11 years to get here, right? Actually, longer than that because I was 4 years in uni. So say 15 years, right? It's taken me 15 years from the very start to get where I am now. And it might take me another 5 years to the point where I'm like, holy shit. Like, audio is just my fucking full-time job. You know what I mean? I don't need YouTube. I don't need fucking headphones. I don't need fucking whatever to be like subsidizing other stuff. It could be next year. It could be 2 years. But I'm not thinking that way anymore. I'm not putting the pressure on myself. I'm not allowing, mix with the masters and fucking, all the great engineers that you see, like plastered over social media. You know what I mean? Look at what I did. Look at this record I did. And by the way, so they should be. They should be proud of the work that they did. But that's them and that's their life. I'll be honest, right? It's the first time I ever said it. There was a part of me that was jealous of Ed because he lived in London. And for a long time, there was a part of me thinking, if I was in my 20s, I would have moved to London and I would have fucking done that grind and I would have been more successful than I am now. But I know with the knowledge I have, I wouldn't have been anywhere near as happy as I am now. And, man, I've made it. And success is objective. That's what you need to understand. When you learn that success is like very self-based, right? Just because fucking Serban is one of the most successful mixing engineers of all time, arguably, with fucking the most Grammys, that's success in numbers, that's success in Grammys, that's success in fucking the amount of people that he's worked with. If, we look at success on a self basis, then really it's just as much as, what makes you happy. Like, success is like when you wake up in the morning and you're like, holy shit, man, I'm getting to do what I love and I get paid for it and I'm not that fucking stressed and, I'm happy. Happiness is the fucking key to absolutely everything. But you can't be happy when you're not happy in yourself. I've done it again. Fucking hell, 33 minutes in. Ed, take over. I've done it again. I'm getting.
You're on a roll. I'm letting you flow. DistroKid sponsor the Working Audio Tools podcast, and you can get 30% off your first year's subscription using the VIP link in the YouTube video description and podcast show notes. DistroKid makes distribution of your music easy with unlimited uploads, and you get to keep 100% of your royalties and earnings. Join over 1 million artists who rely on DistroKid to get their music into Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, TikTok, Tidal, Instagram, and all other streaming platforms now and in the future. The new DistroKid app is available on iOS. Go and download it from the App Store now. From here, you can upload new releases. You can see your DistroKid earnings and withdraw these earnings. You can view and share your hyperfollow links. You can check your streaming statistics from Spotify and Apple, and even add and edit lyrics and song titles. So keep track of your releases on the move with the new DistroKid app, available on iOS. Download it from the App Store now. I mean, a couple of things to pick up on there was, for me, the constant strive for perfection was driven by this really dark, almost sinister and very tragic concept that unless I was perfect, I didn't deserve to be loved. And for people who that doesn't resonate with, that's fine. But I would hazard a guess this may apply to more people than we realise.
Applies to me, 100%.
And it's heartbreaking. And I've had a few moments, I told you about the trampolining story with my current girlfriend, let me rephrase that, my girlfriend, who I fucking adore. And I had a moment when I couldn't do this trick on a trampoline, and she was coaching this session, and I had this horrible moment of, what if she doesn't love me if I can't do this and I embarrass her in front of her friends? And I had to walk away for a couple of minutes and be like, wow, where's that come from? Mm-hmm. It was great to recognize it. And I spoke to her about it, and she was like, grateful I told her, and then was like, obviously that's absolutely ridiculous. What are you talking about? It's your second trampolining session. Like, I know. You're there for fun. I don't care if you can't do it. Like, this is not a serious thing. It's just one of my passions and hobbies, and I'm loving that we can do this together sometimes, and just shout all the positives as she does. She's amazing at finding positives and everything. And that was horrible. And I was like, oh, hang on, I can trace that across everything I've ever done. Drums, I didn't think I'd be accepted by my band members unless I was fucking perfect. Live sound, I didn't think I'd be accepted by my bands and clients if there were any mistakes on the gig, if there was any feedback, if anything went wrong. If you work in events, that's not how it works. And I used to be so hard on myself. It was just exhaustingly stressful. But what helps with all these things is, as Paul said, if you can filter your thought, if you catch yourself thinking certain things, just take a moment and think, as Paul said, what's the fear, what's the comparison, where's the compassion, how can you reframe something? So if you focus on the negative, is there a positive you can focus on? Who's telling you the negative? What are the facts? Are you telling yourself this? Are you telling yourself your shit? Or is it other people? Now, where it gets difficult with other people telling you your shit is when you do YouTube. Because, trust me, we had a comment this week about one of the mixes we did on one of my songs, and they hadn't clocked that it was me, that it was one of my songs. And he was like, yeah, the production's crap, it's too busy. You'd have been better avoiding this mix. The chorus vocal should have been buried because the vocal performance was poor. And I was like, ouch. Like, I thought that was my best recorded vocal so far. I was like, okay. All right, and I, Paul helped with this because I was tired and I wasn't in the mood for that. I eventually had to filter and just think, it's one person's opinion, and actually I was proud of that. So what does it matter? You don't know what they're comparing it to. And also, don't criticize someone who's written, produced, recorded, mixed, and sang on and played drums on a song unless you can fucking do that yourself. So that guy can get lost. Clearly, I'm over it. But the other things you picked up on, which I find interesting because these things aren't necessarily on my radar. Maybe they should be, and maybe I'm unaware of how these things affect me, but I don't feel like I need other people's respect. I don't want their disrespect, such as that guy's comments, because that is upsetting, but I don't feel like respect's not a word that resonates with me. I mean, I generally I consider myself to be respectful of other people, but I catch myself when I'm thinking and saying disrespectful things more and more. And again, catching those things, filtering them, eventually it becomes a habit. And shame as well is another one. I've definitely done things that I'm ashamed of, and I've processed those, and I've identified what drove me to make those decisions in life. But I don't necessarily feel like I carry a sense of shame. For me, the big buzzwords in terms of affecting my outlook on life and my gratitude and happiness have been inadequacy, insecurity, and fear of failure.
Mm-hmm.
And those things have caused me to sabotage many good things and focus on the negatives of many good things and not be present with the good things. And that's where peace and contentment is found. And I've made leaps and bounds in the right direction with this, thankfully. And I keep going to therapy because I believe it's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing investment in myself to find this sense of peace. But I have my moments when I think, oh, I failed at mixing because I'm still having to do live sound to pay my bills. And then I have to think, hang on, from the age of 21, I have made a living playing music, mixing music, and more mixing music in a different context in the studio. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Success.
That is
mate.
success. If anyone is making money out of their passion,
you've made it.
Mm-hmm. I've not, on my gap year, I worked at Tesco's, I worked on a building site, and I taught drums. The teaching drums was fine, but the other two were and I worked in a pub. That was all shit work. So when I'm in those environments, I'm happy to tip a barman and someone who works in a restaurant because I know what it's like to work in those quite often very thankless environments. And I'm just grateful I don't have to do it. And I'm proud of myself that I've never had to do it since the age of 21. But sometimes I have to filter myself and reset the focal point. It's not what I don't have, because there's always something you don't have. There's always somebody more successful, somebody with more money, somebody on better holidays, somebody with a, more attractive partner, or someone, whatever, with better at X, Y, and Z. That's always going to be the case. And this is where social media for me is a toxic place, because it plagues my mind on a daily basis with this, and I have to filter quite regularly. The amount of times I've been tempted to just sack off Instagram entirely. Facebook I'm barely on. And YouTube, I've made a decision kind of over NAM, but end of last year, I was leading up to this, do a few final videos and then really put it on the back burner and only come up out of the woodwork when there's certain products that I want to support. And I'll be honest, if I'm getting paid for them, because it's a lot of work, but only if I want to do them, being the priority. And I don't feel like I want to engage in the comments so much. That's not to say I won't for the podcast, obviously. This is a different concept to what I'm talking about in terms of my own channel and the energy, the mental energy and the filtration that takes. And the compassion towards other people, as Paul said, if people are criticizing you, it's more likely a projection of something they're insecure about. Mm-hmm. But as you did very rightly point out, and this comes around quite well, is if something triggers you, always look inwards, because you can't change what someone else thinks.
Yep.
You can't change how somebody else reacts. You can argue till you're both blue in the face and passing out. You're not going to change shit. This is a whole bitter kind of environment that social media is. But if something pisses you off and you think, oh, what was it about that? And then hold some accountability and take responsibility for what's triggered you and how you were about to react, that's half the battle won to becoming a better person and a better version of you that can work with more people more successfully. And as you said, if you're compassionate to yourself, you will by default be more compassionate to other people. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a beautiful place to get to. But ultimately for me, I even had it tattooed on my arm, right? Don't know if you can see that. It's really illegible text. I'm not going to lie, I wasn't completely sober when I had that done in Ayia Napa in 2007. Ayia Napa. On a working holiday. I have never partied so hard in my life. Never been so physically tired when I got back from that holiday. But man, that was a good time. But that whole concept, happiness as a choice, is about every micro decision you make throughout the day, the hundreds and thousands of them, where you choose how you react to something. And if you just catch 1 or 2 or 3 thoughts a day thinking, oh, hang on, I don't need to get stressed about that. I don't need to judge that person. I don't need to criticize that person. Eventually it starts becoming more and more of a habit. And your whole mindset will become less toxic and more at peace. And that will reflect on yourself. And then that will reflect on other people. And that's a wonderful thing. So filter as often as you can. It takes mental strength. It's not easy. And you will fail. I have so many days when I think, oh, I shouldn't have said that, or that was not a very nice thought, or I didn't need to put that negative energy out into the world, or why didn't I stop and reflect earlier than I did on that situation? It's an ongoing process, which is why I keep going to therapy to develop, continue developing the awareness. But it's a beautiful process, I think, and I'm so happy and content that I'm doing it. But what I should have had tattooed on this arm, and I'm thinking of getting tattooed on this arm actually, is everything is a choice. Because everything is a choice. Somebody said that to me about 2 years ago, and I was like what? Like missing the bus? And she was like, yeah, because if there was traffic, you didn't get an early enough bus to mitigate the traffic. It was your choice to leave late. You chose to get to work late because you didn't choose to leave on time. And I was like, oh yeah. When you start looking at micro details like that, okay, things like cancer and getting run over by a car, maybe not like a choice, obviously. But there are things you can do to help mitigate that. Look across the road. Don't be late so you're not rushing across the road. Don't smoke. Don't be obese, and you can probably help cancer. Not in every case. Don't get me wrong. There are some unfortunate cases. But in general, I think if you accept everything is a choice, your position is a choice. Now, where this got frustrating for me, when I sold my live sound business, and it's taken me, I sold that 3 years ago, and I thought by now I'd be mixing #1 records. Wow. Naive, never mind. But I can laugh about it now because I've loved the journey, although it's been so infuriating at times of, why isn't this happening fast enough? Why aren't I getting good enough fast enough? You've got to make a choice. Was I working hard enough? If I add up the amount of time I spent on YouTube videos in the last 3 years, I would have probably had 1,000 more mixes under my belt by now. That was a shit choice, but I was pushed in. I immersed myself in that world for various reasons. And I got stuck in that world thinking, well, that's where I can compete. Attracted to shiny things and status, as it were, and attention. I needed the attention, I think. I don't need that now. So all my time, as I've said, I'm winding down YouTube. I've got one more video to put out. I might do one on the flex-based subwoofers, and I might do a studio tour. There's a headphone set coming out later this year that I'm going to do, and there might be something else, but I'm going to do them on my own time, in my own terms. But the priority now is going to be doing my own music and mixing. And I love that decision. It's so liberating, but I can let go of everything else because the negative driving forces pushing me to thinking I need those have been alleviated. I've let them go. I'm not saying all this is perfect. There's still work to do, but generally, filter as often as you can. Try and find a positive and a negative. They sound cliches, but they are true. Everything is a choice, and everything is a reflection of who you are. So if something triggers you, look into what's triggering you. And be kind to yourself. If you have negative thoughts, let them go. Nobody knows where thoughts come from. Is it the universe? Is it pre-programming? Is it past lives? Whatever you want to look into, nobody knows where thoughts come from. But you get them. But if you can get into the habit of having nicer thoughts and not dwelling on the bitter, horrible, toxic, negative thoughts, the whole world's going to be better. Not just your mind, but everyone around you.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think, obviously, like we're at 47 minutes now, but I think that to kind of wrap it up in a way of, how does this tie in to you listening right now? Obviously, me and Ed have spoken very personally. Now, I do believe that there is so much trauma and so much, critical cores like sitting in so many people on the internet. I see the arguments, I see the debates, I see how confirmation bias is riddled. It's like a disease through fucking audio. It's everywhere. Now, how does being kinder to yourself help you? How it helps you is, as Ed rightfully said, it's one of the best quotes, that comparison is the thief of joy. Now, if we take joy from making music, as Ed was talking about, I fucking love making music. Like, I love working on music. I love just being around music. Now, if constantly when like you're doing the thing that you love the most, if that joy is being diluted with critical thoughts, you're going to get to a point where you stop doing the thing that you love because your critical thoughts are basically like a fucking a handbrake on
you won't enjoy
your
anything.
life. You won't enjoy it. And the thing is, when your joy starts being diluted and you start seeing it as work and you start seeing it as a job and you start seeing it as this massive fucking mountain, that's the reason why I think many people give it up, because they're like, well, I've not got these Grammys, and I've not got these many million streams, and I'm only getting that amount of fucking paid clients. I'm not even getting paid clients just now. Like, for fuck's sake. Honestly, Stephen Cole, right, has the most simplest thing that he says all the time. And I don't even think he means it, but it's the best thing ever, and I love it. And he just calls it, and I will do a Scouse accent just because I can.
Yes,
like,
please do.
It's like, he always calls it doing the thing. Like, doing the thing. You've just got to do the thing. Just fucking do the thing. And I'm like...
Fucking Ringo's landed.
I'm a beetle. Now, see that, right? See that thing, right? Just do the thing, right? That is the fucking key to success. Just focus on doing the thing, right? See if you think you're not doing. What we do is we spend so much time up here thinking, and when you think you're not doing, okay? Now, when me and Ed think about, the progression that we've had to be as successful as we are right now, it came from doing. We did YouTube videos. We researched. We fucking treated our rooms and learned about a fucking shit ton of stuff. However, if you again go a little bit more critical, we thought a little bit too much. Me especially, and then me and him would poison each other. And then we'd poison other people and they would poison us. You get to a point where you've got to go, right, what do I need to know to get better? Do the thing. Okay? So there's got to be thinking, but again, if you're not doing and you're always thinking, then you're never going to move forward. So for us, the doing was the mix comparisons. That was the doing. Instead of fucking talking about, let's talk about YouTube as a business, and let's talk about mixing and what we like to mix on, and let's talk about these plugins. No, let's actually fucking mix and let's see how fucking good we are. But again, be in a constructive place where you be like, right, I made a mistake there, but it's okay. You did that, and that well. That's what was great about our mix comparisons. It was okay because we had somebody else to say, you did that and that well, but I didn't think you did that well. Like, at the start, it was difficult for us because the critical nature was going, see, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. Where over time, we were like, yeah, but I did that and that really well. And that took me fucking ages. Like, me getting drum sims, being able to be like, yeah, give me any drum sim, then I'll fucking mix it and I could get it to a professional level, whatever it is. Like, I've made the mistakes. And, every time I made those mistakes, it was hard. Me and Ed have had certain mix comparisons where it's been fucking hard mentally. We have tortured ourselves over certain mix comparisons. But over time, we have been so kind to ourselves that we almost are like sitting in front of the chimps being like fuck off. And I
feel like we were often kinder to each other than we were to ourselves.
Correct.
But that has come eventually with time.
But again, that's that kind of like the answer to like your problem right now is sometimes you can go through therapy, but again, it's like it takes people, their own time. Like my therapist was like, Paul, you're one of the most reflective people I've ever met, Paul. Like you just absorb all this stuff and you could almost see yourself from a third party perspective. For people like, other people that I know, it takes them a very, 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 very long time to open up. And again, traumas can be so deeply locked that there's certain doors that people don't want to open. And there's certain people that are like, I've got so much on in my life right now, I'm just not in a place to go that deep. And that's okay. So instead of, like if you don't feel you're ready for therapy, at least surround yourself with people who can support you, who are good for you. I surround myself with people who are honest, but honest in a place of, okay, this is going to sting a little bit, but it's because I want you to do well. When you surround yourself with people that want you to do well and have the best intentions for you, that critical fucking little chimp in there, whatever you want to call it, that demon, whatever it is, it will slowly become smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And you get to that point where it will become smaller. And I get it, right? See, when you're starting out, me and Ed have been there, right? I fucking know what it feels like when you've got no money and you're looking at people like us, they've got all this expensive shit, and we've worked fucking hard to get all the stuff that we've done with the treated rooms. Again, I say it all the time. You're in a fucking technological age, right? You can get a fucking cracking pair of headphones and a fucking, like, a cracking DAC amp, and get an EQ for free, and fucking you can go away and start mixing, right? See if it's a place of you're like, oh, but I need speakers. I'm telling you didn't need speakers, right? No point getting speakers unless you've got the fucking best room. If you cannot treat the room, don't get speakers, mix on headphones, right? You've got fucking VSX, you've got fucking real
Or get
phones.
one of these, 50 quid on Amazon, and everyone's got one of these, and they've got speakers in, and that's what people are listening on.
And I think, teaching yourself to deal with your own limitations and that it's okay. Okay, I get it. It's annoying. I've been there when you're sitting there going, again, I've had the speakers and I've had this room and I've been like, these speakers aren't good enough. These speakers aren't good enough. The room's not good enough. The room's not good enough. And that critical nature. And that's fine. But what I did was I leaned into the headphones because I knew I could make them work. And what I did was over time, I worked on it and I worked on it and I worked on it to the point where I was able to wangle myself, even though I'd still had to fucking pay for them. I managed to get like the best speakers that I've had in this room, and I've managed to treat this room, as good as I could fucking get this room to measure the way it needs to measure, right? Just be happy in the moment. That's the key to this, is living in the moment. So when I got those 4 masters, living in the moment, got paid that day, clients happy. It's like, fuck yeah. It's like, fuck yeah, I nailed that. Fuck yeah, good. I wasn't sitting there fucking thinking like, yeah, but I know so and such that we're fucking like, again, if I was to compare myself to Nick from Panorama Mastering, I'd be like, yeah, Nick's got maybe 4 masters on every day. That's him. And again, I'm like, I could go, yeah, but Nick's younger than me. And he's fucking more successful than me. And like, for fuck's sake, I'm like, that's Nick. See, the difference where I am now, I sit there and go, man, I'm so happy for Nick. Like, and I only want the best for Nick. And I want Nick to get that fucking big Grammy. I want him to get that fucking Grammy. Man, I've got only the best for you. Where, that takes a lot of self-work to be able to not compare yourself, man. To sit there and be like, I'm happy for you. And that's the thing. What I should have learned a long time ago was from my mentors, right? The Emre Çelik's, the MSMs, the Tour Medinas, the Prizzies, all the fucking people that we've got in our fucking circle. One thing that they all have in common is that they only want the fucking best for me and him. They just want, again, when Tura reached out to me, when Emre reached out to me, it was like, again, it's like when Em took the time to have us down in the studio and stuff and just fucking watch him working. When these people take you in, there's an element of that where it's like, I just genuinely want the best for you and I fully support you because I am confident where I am right now. And I think it's really difficult for people to champion other people's successes because I know certain people have this thing where it's like, oh my God, like again, I've watched it on YouTube. I remember it happened with Nick, where Nick was reaching out for me for help about YouTube and I took my time and helped him. And then he then got fucking more subscribers than me. And then, and it bothered me for a little bit. And then I get to a point now where I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like so what the fuck are numbers? Again, that's what I made an Instagram story the other day. And I was just sitting there looking at my view in my house. I was shattered painting. And I was just like, as I said earlier, I've got everything on my doorstep, man. This studio is fucking amazing, man. I love it, man. This is Paul Third. This is my safe space. How fucking lucky am I to have a safe space with all the mod cons, with all the geekiness that I would ever want. It's a fucking geek fucking treasure chest for audio. It's like, if you're in my studio and you're fucking new to this, you're going to have your head fucking blown away with the things that I could fucking show you and teach you. And that's amazing. Yeah, but at the end of the day, yes, am I as successful as M and Tura and Emra and Prizzy? No, I'm not as successful as these people. Am I as successful as Sean Vincent, as Nick and Steve? And by the way, Steve, fucking well done on getting, 2 awards he's up for. Was it the Music Producers Guild Mix Engineer of the Year? And there was another one as well. So again,
yeah, good work.
I know, again,
my friend Julian Baroness is up for a producer. I think he's been nominated for like 4 albums or something. He's friend, but I can also call him my producer now as well.
That's great. But again, see, even just that, even just knowing that these people have got, a more successful career than us, right? That's their life. But being able to sit there and go, man, you're such a nice person and I'm so fucking happy for you. And being able to actually feel joy for other people and sit there and go, I might get there one day, but know what? See if I don't get there. Who gives a shit? Because I'm happy where I am right now. Like, genuinely, Ed, all I need to do now is one thing, is get it full time. If I get this thing full time where I can jack in my day job, fuck the Grammys, fuck everything else. I could not give a shit who I work with. I don't give a fuck if I get the biggest artist on the planet. If I could sit and just do this for the rest of my fucking life, wake up every day, be 2 minutes from my house, be able to pick my kids up from school, be able to work with people locally, be able to go on walks with them around this fucking beautiful place, and just be in a world where I've got now a house that's like secluded. I'm not in the high street anymore. You know what I mean? I'm like secluded away from everybody with this amazing view. I'm like, fuck, man. Like, why do I need fucking to stress myself out about, other people and like what they could do, and like, oh yeah, I could move to Nashville, I could move to London, I could move to Music City. I don't need to move to fucking Music City because the fucking place to be for me is right here, and it makes me happy, and I should be fucking so unbelievably grateful for what I have worked for.
Make Music City come to you, and online we're in a world where you can do that. Hey there, Ed here. You may recognise my voice from doing all the other DistroKid advert segments. This time I didn't want to just do a typical advert talking about stuff to do with DistroKid. I actually wanted to give you my feedback about the service because I genuinely do use DistroKid for uploading my music. And I know Paul does, and it turns out Dan Worrell does as well. I've used DistroKid since 2019. As you can see on the screen, I have 6 releases so far. It is genuinely super easy to use. The tracks get into Spotify within 24 hours, which is remarkable. Apple Music takes a little bit longer. I'd suggest giving that 10 to 14 days. The hyperfollow links are really useful for advanced promotion of your tracks, and the promo cards are really great visual aids for social media promotion. Ooh, I particularly like that one. DistroKid collect all the royalties from your streaming services, and here you can find an itemized breakdown of where all your income has come from. There's also a DistroKid referral where you can save your friends $10 per sign-up by creating your own VIP referral link. For me, I never used to be able to be happy for other people. I would...
Same.
I'd be envious. I would resent other people's success. And it was all fear because I felt it was a reflection of my own inabilities and I've known people who are like that and incapable of being happy for other people's success. And it's sad and it's kind of dark, but, be honest with yourself. If that's you, then there's only one solution, which we've talked about several times in this episode. In my opinion, I recommend everyone investigate themselves. But what we do have to do, Paul, I think it'd be a good place to end this, what has become a long episode. Thank you if you're still listening. But what we can all do, and again, it's a filtration process and it's a choice, is cheerlead ourselves. Cheerlead the wins. I'm not saying go online and post videos about why you're so good at mixing and why you're so successful, etc. Not saying that. But take a moment to think, client was happy with that. 4 mixes in a day, 4 masters in a day, fucking excellent. Smash that mix out the park in 4 hours, fucking excellent. Ooh, I've heard something I wasn't hearing in my last mix, Excellent. All those little things. Oh, I thought of a new technique there. Excellent. Champion yourself. That's so much more positive than being like, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. Fuck yourself for doing that wrong. Why did you do that wrong? Why are you so stupid? I mean, we are the biggest beraters of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the worst for it. I remember one day I shouted at myself for something in my old studio, and I stopped, and I remember it physically hurt myself as if somebody else had said it to my face. And I was like, that is so powerful.
Yeah.
So instead of doing that, try and take them a moment to champion yourself. Because fuck it, let's face it, no one else does, unless you've got good people around you. Which does bring me to one more point. You've got your chimp, who's going to try and destroy everything you do. You've also got to be really careful who you have speaking in your ears. And we've talked a lot about this offline and also before NAM, and it was a big theme over NAM. Who have you got in your ear? You know, you've got the chimp, you've got your preconditioned berations and negative thoughts and comparisons. But have you got people saying, nah, you're not worth £300 a mix, or nah, your vocal should be buried in that mix because it's shit? Or have you got people being like, I love your voice, you should sing more? That's my girlfriend telling me that quite regularly. I'm like, I love you. Or is it like, you should be charging more money? You know, you're good, you can compete with all these people, you can do this. Think of who you have around you, and you'll feel it. You'll feel an energy. I hang around some people and I'm like, ugh, I just need to let all this go because this energy is just negative. And then you're around other people and you just wake up and you become more vibrant, and those are the people to hang around. Hang around the people who are going to pick you up and help you, not the ones who are dragging you down. Life's too short for that shit.
And also remember, fucking patience, right? If you're starting out, right, patience. That's why I said to you, 15 years, right? Now the criticalness in me is like, you could have done it 5 years ago, you could have done it 10 years ago, you could have done it better, you could have done this, that. Look what? Fucking yada, 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 yada. There's no point crying over fucking spilt milk. There's no point, right? Don't live your life like that. Accept that life is life and life happens the way that life happens. As my therapist told me, Paul, you can't control life. You can only control how you react to life. And that is the key.
Amen.
So you know what? It takes the time it takes, right? And see if you get where you want to be in fucking 2 years. Fucking good on you. Fucking good on you, honestly. But champion yourself. It is okay to be sitting there on a Focusrite Scarlett and a fucking pair of headphones, right? Just be kind to yourself. If you are at a point where you're like, oh my god, like Paul said that the fucking headphone amp and the Scarlett shit, and he said that these pair of headphones are fucking shit, right? That's fine, right? That's my opinion, and that's just my experience. What you've got to do is you've just got to take the time and think, right, okay, what are the facts around this? There are facts around it. Then you could listen to the facts, you could think logically without emotion, and then maybe you would go, I would like to think you would be like, right, okay, I'll sell that and I'll get that and that. And thankfully, with technology, you could do it in a way where you don't even lose fucking money. You're just swapping out one thing to the other. And what you need to do is learn that it's okay, right, to know that you've got a limit. It's okay to know that this is all I can afford right now. All you need to do is focus on the joy, focus on the music, focus on working. Because, look, I get it, right? You could have fucking a limit in regards to your monitoring. You could sometimes have a limit in regards to the tools that you have. Yes, you could sometimes get better results, right, objectively. But be happy with what you've got just now and accept that it's not you that's shit. It's just you've got a limitation of price, and that's okay. Budget and price does not stop you making music, and good music at that. Okay, me and Ed are perfectionists, and again, this professional realm, everybody's fighting against everybody to fucking, do as good as they can, okay? But look, it's okay to do the best that you can with the resources that you've got in front of you, right? But again, just speaking facts. If somebody comes with something, don't get triggered by it. Be inquisitive about it. Be curious about it. Instead of attacking that person, try and think, why have they said that? Am I maybe missing something? And then deal with the facts. And then you'll get to a point slowly where you hopefully will be in a place where if it takes 5-6 years or whatever, you'll be like, Remember those days where I was mixing on fucking the Sundaras and the fucking topping fucking E2X2? Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, man, I was making great mixes back then. And know what? Like, somebody like Emra, like, that's what I love about Emra. Emra's like, bro, put me on fucking, like topping fucking E2X2 and Sundara, and I'll still get a fucking V1. You know what I mean? Even with all these fucking headphones and his big 12 grand Deves and his 40 grand fucking mix room. He's like, bro, put me back to those days any day. He's like, because you can't take away that experience, right? Behind, and I said this in an Instagram story, and this is how I really want to end it. There is no such thing as waking up a world champion. Every world champion that has ever existed has had tons of little wins. They've made a ton of mistakes. And it's these little wins that lead to the big wins. If you can't celebrate the little wins and you can't accept that you've done the best with what you have, it could be skill, it could be experience, it could be budget, it could be circumstance. If you have done the best that you know you can within those limitations, and you accept the best as your wins, just doing the thing, right? Just doing the thing, you will be amazed at just by doing the thing. That'll be the thing that makes it for you. And it takes the time it takes. And the more you mix and the more experience you get and the more times you fall and you get back up and you dust yourself off, those are the things that are going to make you successful, okay? But just having that ability to sit there and not cloud yourself with other people and just sit there and go, man, I worked my fucking socks off the day and I did the best that I could. That's it. That's success. Did you do the best that you could with fucking what you had in front of you? Yeah, I did the best I could. That is enough, right? All that anybody should ask from you is your best. And your best is enough. Regardless if you're at the start of your career, regardless if you're at 15 years into this, your best is based on time, okay? You can only get better with time. Nobody gets worse with time. You can only get better with time. If you keep on improving, and you keep on learning, and you keep on it, like building on those little wins, you can become a world champion. And I do believe that wholeheartedly. So, there you have it. My name's Paul Third. That's Ed Thorne. Thank you so much for sticking around. All the best vibes going into your working week. Or again, could be a learning week. Thank you so much to DistroKid for keeping the lights on, for, keeping us in a place where we can, keep on going for this, this full-time career, which will happen, Ed, because we're great at what we do and we're only getting better. So there you have it. Paul Third, Ed Thorne, and we'll see you again next week.
It's been emotional.